Major spoiler warning. If you haven't seen Fate Stay Night and Fate Zero and don't want spoilers about the identities of the servants, stop this video now. There's a lot of reasons to like the Fate series, but perhaps the coolest are the servants. Seriously, heroic spirits from legends past, both real and fictional, are summoned into today's world to fight to the death? What's not awesome about that? It's like a fanboy's wildest dreams come true. When it comes to the Holy Grail War, a strong servant is the difference between survival and getting your ass kicked. Of course, the servant isn't everything, but it's a pretty good start. So, without further ado, I give you my top 5 strongest servants in the Fate series. Couple of disclaimers first. Just because a servant beat another one-on-one does not necessarily mean that servant is stronger. Weaker opposition wins in real life all the time. Also, for the purpose of this list, I'm only going to be including servants from Fate Stay Night and Fate Zero, mainly just to keep things nice and simple. Finally, this is one last major spoiler warning. Do not continue watching the video if you haven't seen Fate Zero and Unlimited Blade Works specifically. I will reveal the very spoilery identities of each servant on the list, so you have been warned. Anyways, on with the show. Number 5. EMIYA, Archer Class, Fate Stay Night. Well, I hope you listened to that spoiler warning if you haven't seen UBW. Archer is a bona fide badass. Because he's not a regular heroic spirit, he lacks an actual noble phantasm in the truest sense of the term, but his projection ability gives him an edge over most servants. He's got Row Ice, a shield capable of stopping even Lancer's Gay Bolg, and can mold swords into arrows and shoot them from a mile away. He can summon weapons in the air and fire them just like Gilgamesh, making Archer the only other servant who can neutralize Gil's Gate of Babylon so effectively, though each copy is weaker than the original. Oh, and then there's this thing called Unlimited Blade Works. Yeah, I should probably mention that. Not many servants have the ability to survive Archer's reality marble, in which he can literally sword spam the absolute shit out of you. With all that power, some of you may be wondering why Archer isn't higher on this list. Well, it's mainly because the 4 servants above Archer on the list are all capable of neutralizing Unlimited Blade Works, thus essentially rendering him ineffective. Still, Archer's versatility and Unlimited Blade Works are enough to at least get him a spot in the top 5. Number 4. MEDUSA, Rider Class, Fate Stay Night. Anybody who hasn't read the visual novel or spent hours on the Type Moon wiki like me might be confused with this selection. Rider? Really? Didn't she die, like, immediately in UBW? Patience, my good friend. Rider's time to shine has yet to come. Wait for the Heaven's Feel movies, then you'll know why Rider's on this list. Her strongest noble phantasm, Bellerophon, allows her to use a devastatingly powerful charge with Pegasus, somewhat similar to Saber's Excalibur. Anybody who's even remotely familiar with the legend of Medusa knows that her eyes can turn people to stone, though in Fate Stay Night she mainly keeps them hidden and they don't work on people with strong magic power. Still, between these two abilities, Rider can withstand some of the stronger noble phantasms, from Archer's Unlimited Blade Works to Iskandar's Ionian Hetairoi. However, she's not a good close-range fighter, making her a poor matchup for the other servants on the list. Number 3. HERACLES, Berserker Class, Fate Stay Night. Berserker's raw strength is enough to get him in the top 3. I mean, seriously, look at the dude. You lift, bro? In all seriousness, Berserker is one of the best close-range fighters of all the servants for several reasons. Surprisingly, he's the most agile servant in Stay Night, making it extremely difficult to corner him. His strongest noble phantasm, God's Hand, makes it practically impossible to actually land a powerful hit. Only the strongest of noble phantasms can break through it, so he doesn't really have to worry about defense at all. Throw in the fact that he's got 12 lives, 1 for each of his labors, and Heracles is seemingly invincible. Of course, he's not, as both of the top 2 servants can and have beaten him one-on-one. Even so, Heracles' raw power is unmatched, and he probably would have been even stronger if he hadn't been summoned as a Berserker. Number 2. Arturia Pendragon, Saber Class, Fate Zero, and Fate Stay Night. It should really come as no surprise to anybody to see Saber so high on this list. Her strongest noble phantasm, plot armor, or Excalibur, can pretty much take out every other servant in the series. The only reason she doesn't just use it over and over are her two masters. Well, that and plot progression. Kiritsugu uses her as more of a distraction while he stealth kills everyone like a badass, and Shiro's weak as shit, at least at the start, and can barely give her enough mana to use it even once. That aside, Saber is still one of the strongest in the franchise. At full strength, Avalon essentially makes her invincible, even more so than Berserker. She's the only servant who can withstand Ea, and she has the power to take out both UBW and Ionian Hetairoi. In the Fate route, Excalibur proves to be even stronger than Medusa's Pegasus. Saber can and has fought nearly every servant one-on-one, emerging victorious, or at least alive, every time, despite her master's deficiencies. When she's got Avalon, Saber is nearly unbeatable. Before I reveal number 1, I want to mention a few that just missed the cut. I had Iskandar, Ku Chulainn, and Lancelot at 6, 7, and 8 respectively, and I flipped back and forth on them several times. Numbers 4 through 8 are pretty much interchangeable in my opinion, as I think you can make a case for any of them. Ultimately, I went all Stay Knight. In general, I think the Stay Knight servants are quite a bit stronger overall than their Zero counterparts, though the Fate Zero masters would wipe the floor with the Stay Knight group. Lancelot would have been much better off as a Saber-class servant, and both EMIYA and Medusa have noble phantasms capable of neutralizing Iskandar and Lancer's strongest attacks. However, while I struggled ranking the servants at the bottom of the list, the top choice was no contest. With enough firepower to wipe the floor with every other servant, as long as he takes the fight seriously, this servant was the clear pick for the top choice. So much so that the author of the visual novel has even said so himself. That's right, Gilgamesh. Archer class, Fate Zero, and Fate Stay Knight. If Gil wasn't such an arrogant prick, he could have won both Grail Wars in a day. Seriously, the only reason he ever loses is because he doesn't take the opposition seriously enough. He has no interest in the Grail, and so only participates for his own amusement. If he doesn't think you're worth his time, he'll simply brush you off. That arrogance proves to be his downfall, and it doesn't help that he's a villain. When he does take the battle seriously, however, consider it over, as there's no servant who stands a chance against Gil going all out, not even Saber. Just look, he fought Iskandar and HERACLES seriously, two of the stronger servants in the franchise, and absolutely annihilated them. To call them battles is very generous. For starters, Gate of Babylon is nearly unbeatable. Only EMIYA can match the barrage of swords Gil throws at you, and Gil's are 10 times stronger. When he fully opens the gate, you're pretty much doomed. Add in Enkidu, and Gil can win nearly every fight without even having to lift a finger. As if that weren't enough, he's also got Ea, which is what we in the business like to call OP. Ea is quite literally capable of destroying the world and distorting the fabric of the universe. He's reluctant to use it because there are few people he actually deems worthy to gaze upon its glory, but when he does crack it out, that's usually a wrap. Gilgamesh is undoubtedly the strongest servant in the Fate franchise, and only loses because he's the antagonist and is supposed to lose. If he takes the fight seriously, Gil can pretty much demolish every other player in the game. That wraps up this list. Feel free to tell me who you think the strongest servants are in the comments below. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching. See you next time.